Alright. June 22nd, 2025. I'm sat at a bar in Williamsburg watching the NBA Finals. The game cuts to commercials, and between the random brands and ads, something strikes us as a little weird.
Zohran Mamdani, a risk New York can't afford.
A political smear campaign.
Zohran Mamdani's a 33-year-old dangerously inexperienced legislator who's passed just 3 bills.
The first time I played, I thought it was a little odd. But throughout the evening it played again and again and again. It got to the point where I was actually distracted from the game itself, thinking about how much this must have cost, how crap the production of these ads were. Is there anybody who possibly finds this in any way convincing? Cuomo's $24 million super PAC was blanketing New York television. And the message might have scared me if I had no idea who this Zohran Mamdani was. But here's the thing, I live in Brooklyn and I own a front door. And I also own a mobile phone. And what's more, I don't own cable. I don't own a TV. I watch things on my computer. I was already acutely familiar with Zohran and had watched him tear down Andrew Cuomo in debates in the form of short-form Instagram videos.
I have never stolen hundreds of millions of dollars from the MTA. I have never hounded the 13 women who credibly accused me of sexual harassment. I have never sued for their gynecological records, and I have never done those things because I am not you, Mr. Cuomo. And furthermore, the name is Mamdani. M-A-M-D-A-N-I. You should learn how to say it.
Even my friends back home in Ireland were asking me what I thought of Zohran, the potential future mayor of New York City. Sitting in that bar in Williamsburg 2 days before the vote, when Cuomo's $1 million smear campaign finally reached my eyeballs, it was already far too late. So how did a June Democratic mayoral primary using ranked choice voting captivate the entire world?
And guess who won? Mr. Mamdani.
Mamdani mania.
Because it represents much, much more than New York mayoral politics.
Democratic socialist, the vocal critic of Israel and of yourself, and has said he would arrest you. Is that something you take seriously, or are you concerned about that?
No, I'm not concerned about that.
I'll get him out.
Look,
this is a story about attention, political attention, mainstream attention versus viral attention.
So what's your take? I should be the mayor.
I don't know, man.
And how when the means of garnering that attention is understood by a politician, authenticity becomes a currency much greater than money.
Es Mamdani. Pero a cada rato me dicen Mumnari.
So how did Zohran do it? Will he actually be able to do the things he says he'll do? Is this a new wave of political communication, or just an influencer who wants to be the mayor? Let's talk about it.
By the way, that's, again, perfect response, and also an incredibly popular position.
City, your message to communist Zohran Mamdani.
Well, then we'll have to arrest him.
Political attention has always been linked to how the public consume media. In the 1850s, Lincoln and Douglas's presidential debate lasted 3 hours. 60 minutes for one candidate, 90-minute rebuttal, 30-minute closing statement. That's it. It was consumed through live audiences and newspaper transcripts. In 1960, JFK debated Nixon in the first televised debate. 8 minutes per candidate, then questions from panelists, 2.5 minutes to respond and 1.5 minutes to rebut. Signs of the public's shrinking attention span was already noticeable. Not just what you said and how you said it, but how you looked, your appearance, your charisma, all of that began to matter. It feels as though in the last couple of years debates have gotten more and more chaotic, less so about the great things that you're going to provide to the public, and much more about bringing down your political opponent.
I know, you're a tough guy, Jim.
And we need to have a leader that is
real tough.
You're never going to be president of the United States by insulting your way to the president.
With the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
Understanding the way the public consume media is vital. And a huge reason for Trump's rise to prominence is the divisive nature of Twitter. Now the way we consume media is changing again, where Twitter's becoming outdated. It is all about short-form content. Snappy TikToks, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, 9x16 portrait videos, straight to the point, text on the screen. It's all that our attention spans can withstand, it seems. Zohran seemed to be one of the first politicians who fully understood this medium, and maybe that's because he's 33.
New York is suffering from a crisis, and it's called halalflation.
Along with understanding this change in how the public consume media, there's also never been a better time to run this sort of campaign. I think Zohran's run aligning with the beginning of Trump's second term in office, people have never been more disenfranchised with politicians. They've never trusted them less, whereby a politician standing on the street with a microphone asking normal people in the public what they want, what they think, was mind-blowing. That shouldn't be mind-blowing. Isn't the whole role of a government or a politician to serve the public? But right now it is mind-blowing. And Mamdani's campaign seemed to realise that and utilised it.
I'm supporting Zohran because I'm sick of the status quo.
I think Cuomo doesn't know how much a dozen eggs costs. And I think that's indicative of him as a candidate, and I think Zohran probably does know what a dozen eggs costs.
So, along with a new medium for consuming and a very disenfranchised public, there's another thing that really played into the hands of Mamdani's campaign. There can be no hero arc without a villain, and Andrew Cuomo was the perfect political foe. They couldn't have been better opposites, the old school politician versus the new kid on the block. Someone well versed in paying millions of dollars for old school mainstream media attention versus someone who understands viral attention. Someone who's going to defend the millionaires who fund their ginormous super PACs versus someone who's going to defend the people. Someone who's normal versus a political robot. It was perfect. This all happened back in June, so why am I suddenly talking about it now? Living in New York, I'm noticing a change as Mamdani rises to prominence in how mainstream media and large political figures are talking about him.
And before that, he was an aspiring rapper under the name Mr. Cardamom. Listen. Once you do it, it's out there. It never comes back. It's there.
Didn't think it was going to be on CNN.
I feel like people weren't really taking him seriously as a candidate until the results from the primary came out. And now a lot of people are quite worried. Not so worried about this Zohran Mamdani being the mayor of New York, but more worried that there's a future in which money can't buy power.
Well, then we'll have to arrest him.
Because when authenticity is the main political currency, what do you do if you have horrible intentions? So in the run-up to the actual mayoral election, where do I stand on Zohran Mamdani? Do I think he's going to be able to successfully freeze rent prices without dramatically increasing affordable housing supply? Probably not. Do I think he's going to solve unaffordable groceries by creating his own public grocery stores? I don't think the markup of private supermarkets is the problem. Do I think he's going to be able to increase tax on super wealthy elites? I hope so, but I don't know. But do I think he's going to try his hardest to do all of those things while listening to the public, seeing what works and what fails, and changing as he goes? Definitely. I believe that he's an authentic person with pure intentions, and that genuinely goes so much further than the vast majority of successful politicians today. So as we veer closer to November and the anti-Zohran propaganda rises and rises, just think, where is it coming from? And what do they actually want?
And toward a future where we guarantee high-quality housing to all as a human right.
But history shows that public housing has been plagued by chronic underfunding, cancer-causing chemicals, mold and neglect, infested with mice, rats, roaches, and toxic mold. Those are just a few.
And if Mamdani does what he already did, and authenticity prevails, and he does in fact become the next mayor of New York City, cut the guy some slack. He's trying to change a very unfair system, and any steps towards that has my support. I want to end this video by saying something that I believe is very important. It is vital for humans that authenticity becomes the main political currency, because as AI and AGI develops, our bullshit detectors of political media needs to develop with it. With everything we consume, we need to be thinking, who made this, why did they make it, and what do they want us to think? Because if we lose the ability to critically analyze political media, we might just lose everything. That's it. That's the end of this video. On that happy note, thanks for watching.
Zohran Mamdani is a 33-year-old dangerously inexperienced legislator who's passed just 3 bills.
I'm very nervous letting somebody who's 31 years old, or 33, who's really passed 3 bills and has never really had a job in charge of the city. So yes, I am voting for Cuomo. And